All right, welcome back to another backtesting session. I'm working on backtesting years worth of data to get in thousands of reps to help perfect my craft. I'm taking a break from backtesting the 3 years worth of January's data. It was just beating me up. And I'm going back to the year-long 2025 backtest, where I'm currently in July of 2025. So far, the month of July is up about 8R. I'm trading a 50K account. I'm up $6,400 on the 50K account, which at 250 per risk per trade. So that's pretty decent, I would say. Pretty significant if you start copy trading that. Anything else? Real quick, I use TradeZella. Love it for back testing and recording my live trade data. The link's down below. And also, if you want to join me in my free trading Discord, come hang out, talk, ask questions. I'd love to have you in there. It's free, so links down below. Other than that, I'm looking forward to back testing some higher quality PA. So let's dive in. All right, so we got Monday, July 21st, no news Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We have unemployment claims and 9:45 news. So that's going to pretty much be the one thing I want to look out for. Thursday, 9:45 news. Other than that, let's dive in. So here we are, Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's zoom out to the weekly, see where we're at. So we just probably took all-time highs. Yep. On NQ. And I trade MNQ, by the way. So we're looking at NASDAQ futures, the micros, not the minis. And looks like the previous week, we look at this, had a nice bullish close above this previous week's candle. Let's look at ES did not close above the previous week's candle, has not taken all-time highs. YM has taken all-time highs. So we have a bearish SMT forming. Doesn't mean it's going to turn bearish. We assume it's bullish until proven otherwise. So we also have bullish SMT at the bottom of these two previous week candles. So, all right. Daily is just kind of floating upwards. I don't really like that a ton. Looks like we do have previous day, Friday, closed as a potential C2 reversal candle with a fair value gap below. So I can kind of anticipate the possibility of price coming back down into this fair value gap. So maybe it's bearish for Monday. Now on the 4-hour chart, the 2 a.m. candle didn't really do anything. The 2 a.m. 4-hour candle is significant to me. The 6 a.m. candle is coming back down into this 4-hour volume imbalance. So that's interesting. We have this fair value gap right here. Tons of liquidity below, but I don't really like to, I don't short all-time highs. And then on the 1-hour chart, volume imbalance. So we do have this retraced to internal range of liquidity. So ideally, depends on the time frame. My drawn liquidity is different depending on the time frame. So kind of have a dual bias on the daily. I could see the drawn liquidity being, so here's previous day high. And then previous day low. Going down to the 4-hour chart. So we got external range was taken. Price tapped into this 4-hour fair value gap. Right there. Tapped into this volume imbalance. Everything is balanced in this range. So I'm favoring buy side drawn liquidity, but I could also see it going to sell side. All right, so let's look at the 15-minute chart. So Asia took London's high, and then New York pre-market took both Asia and London lows. Here's a 12 a.m. open. And Here's the 9:30 open right here. So I think we're ready to go. Let's start clicking. Clicky, clicky. So let's zoom forward to 9:30. So we have a no news Monday, which can often mean that 9:30 opens and just does one stage delivery. Here's a nice, here's a reversal happening at 9:16 in a 1 hour fair value gap, 1 hour volume imbalance. That might actually be the new week opening gap. Let's see here. Monday, Sunday at 6 o'clock. So that was the new week opening gap. So at this point, I'm kind of leaning towards the likelihood of 9:30, probably just heading for the draw on liquidity. But who knows? It could still do a manipulation lower. Okay. So nothing to do there. And I've seen this a bunch before where you just get this massive candle, forms a massive breaker. This isn't my model, but it's something I feel like I've noticed enough. And you can just pretty much do something like this. Mark it in on this candle's close above. See all these different breakers? Here's one, here's 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it often doesn't come back at all, often just has a little tiny wick. But that's not my model. My model's right down here pretty much. So no trade right there. So let's keep going forward. Maybe it'll decide to give a retracement into like a 15-minute fair value gap. I'm not going to short this. I believe this is all-time highs. New all-time highs it's setting right now. Yeah, so it's new all-time high territory. So price is just floating upwards, 10 o'clock hour. So here we have a new 1 hour and 4 hour candle. I would anticipate some kind of retracement back into this to balance out some of it, but I'm also not going to short it. What I might look for is potentially a long out of there if that decides to present itself. $10.30, and this is just going to be one-sided delivery, isn't it? That's okay. It's Monday. I'm not always eager to, I'm not typically eager to take trades on Mondays. Like if it's there and it's perfect and it presents, I'm happy. But it's one of my lesser performing days. Thursday happens to be my best performing day. All right, so coming into 11 o'clock, price is just consolidating after making new all-time highs. And coming up to 12 o'clock, which is where I stop trading for the morning session, I allow myself to trade the PM session if I didn't get a trade in the AM. So, all right. Let's zoom out. Go to 1 o'clock. Oh, shoot. It gave the reversal during the lunch hour. Right there. 12:26. So here's our lunch session. That's bound to happen though. Can't worry about it. You can't be in the charts 24/7 or 23/7. And some days are no trade days. All right, 130. Price is just continually just floating up. Kind of doesn't look great actually. See a lot of these wicks and tails. Looks okay, not great. Or maybe I'm just biased after staring at January for 2, 4, 6. I think I've done 6 weeks in January straight, 6 different Januaries straight, or 3 different Januaries, 6 weeks straight. All right, so somewhere around 2:30 tends to be another time period, another macro, the two macros where I can often get a setup. So just checking for any bearish SMTs, bullish SMTs. Nothing really. I don't really like cherry picking candles on a 15-minute chart for SMT. I'll do it on a daily or a weekly, but I prefer significant swings. And like, here's the, this is the lower low on all 3 charts, and this is the higher low on all 3 charts. So we do on the 1-minute chart have SMT. So this low right here as, well, that's a lower low, I think. That's not equal. So that's a lower low. So that's not SMT. This isn't really significant. So I don't see SMT here. We got some nice targets though. Tapped into a 15-minute fair value gap. Got a medium-sized inversion with a volume imbalance. I like those. No liquidity below. I'm just going to take a look around a little bit more, make sure I'm not seeing any SMT. I'm going to let it go. Not really tons of distribution, so I would have been stopped out anyways on that one. It's a nice looking candle right there. All right. All right, that's enough for this day. So let's kind of review the day, see what happened. There was no short for me. I'm not going to short all-time highs. The one trade happened during lunch. Um, so accurately predicted the draw on liquidity. So that's what it is. So today there is no model. Um, Technically nothing would have lung, but there was a 1230 long. Other notes, all-time highs taken. Delivery was just bullish one stage. Performance summary. I'm going to give myself an A+, patient. Missed opportunities, technically 0. Because I don't trade that lunch hour. Cool. Clear up the drawings. We'll remove all of them. And we'll go to the start of the next New York session. All right, so zooming out again. Looking at the weekly on NQ, MNQ. We've already taken previous week's high. Looks like it's starting to leave a bit of an imbalance, a fair value gap, and a volume imbalance. So on the daily, we took the previous day's high. So at this point, for me, it's just I would continually to target previous day high until it makes sense otherwise, or until I see like a 4-hour change in state of delivery. So the 2 a.m. candle took all these candles low, tapped into this area, which isn't very deep in terms of retracement. Like this little swing here. What do we got? 50% of that, but not. Yeah. So there's this volume bounce tapped into. There is this gap that was inverted, right? Kind of we expect this to fail, or I expect this to fail in bullish delivery. So just noting it and expecting it to fail. Looks like there might be a couple of equal highs. So relative equal highs. Don't have any other equal lows other than just tons of trend line liquidity, which it'll come for at some point in time. So I'm kind of feeling somewhat neutral. Overnight, the London rebalanced this fair value gap, came back down into this order block and retested it. London swept Asia's low, leaving London high, Asia high as targets. So be curious to see on the 15-minute if we form a breaker with the 12 a.m. opening price. There's no news today. So more than anything, I just going to click forward and see what we see. Building lots of liquidity down below for 930. So I don't really have a major expectation for 930. I feel a little more like I want the market to show its hand to me, and then I'll make some judgments based off of where it goes and what the candles are saying. Boy, like my internet's being slow right now. me try to refresh this real quick. All right. See if this is a little better now. There we go. All right, so making our way back to 930. Building some liquidity below. We do have these equal highs right there, which we're just taking on that candle, getting a little choppy right before 930. Unless I have, oh, no, I don't have 930 marked wrong. Well, bam. Kind of like what I told you about the other day when 930 forms that massive breaker, you know, mark it in on that candle close, give it some room. Doesn't even need to be the full gap most of the time, like half the gap, and then see if it goes. So we'll see if it does that, which, yeah, it would have. Look at that. Now, it's not my model. I just keep seeing it. So, all right. Some indecisive candles, a little more continuation. Maybe 950 macro will provide a setup. Okay, just distributing towards sell side. So we're in the macro. Usually I like to combine all the gaps. So we took this swing point liquidity. We have this fair value gap that's been balanced. So the 4 hours tapping into this order block after sweeping that liquidity. So here was this open part of this gap that was left on the daily. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. So here's a daily fair value gap. And so looking at this low here, both ES and YM swept it. So no SMT there. So that low. We do have SMT between ES and YM. Oh, we do have SMT. Here's equal lows on YM and ES. So this looks pretty much like there's a lot going for this long. So I would be willing to take it because it closed above that volume imbalance. So we have a IFVG. We have a daily fair value gap. We really have a 1 hour, 4 hour daily fair value gap. We have 4 hour liquidity sweep. We have SMT. We're in the macro. We have no C2 candle. So this is buying the bottom of the dip, basically. No, so that's a downside to this trade is cons, no C2 and multi gaps. I don't know what to call it, but basically what I mean right there, the con is I can't combine all these gaps. I don't really want a long way up here with all these gaps combined. So I think I'm going to be a little more risk on with this one. and I'll go ahead and um, give it a shot, I think, without more confirmation. So here's 3R. How many contracts is 266? All right. Coming for me. Boom. Okay. So here was, this trade was an expense. Oof. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to let it go. I don't need to rush to get my gains back. That was a bigger move than I realized, actually. Usually, when you get these bigger moves, I'm a little more patient to catch the reversal. I guess in between all the things, resetting the internet and whatnot. That's a 1,200 tick move down. Um, so that's what went wrong. I'm going to make a note of that is, uh, well, I want to see what price does a little bit more before I make any notes. So here's a 2-minute gap. And maybe what I'll do here is I'm going to take the 2-minute gap, set a limit order kind of thing. Oh, I see. That just, I market it in. Oopsie. I see. It's 1-minute candles, not 2-minute candles. All right. I market it in. That's okay. I don't like that sideways. Um, creating some equal lows here. Let's see what the others are doing. ES is sideways, YM is sideways. So in this case, in this trade, an hour later, I'm still at break even. Do a 15-minute candle. Kind of creating a couple of equal highs there too. Kind of got a feeling like it might come down and then pop up. So I'm going to get out of this trade. I think there could be a better setup at some point later on. So I'm going to close that trade. In part with the bad fill and everything else. So let's see, it goes into lunch. Sweeps those equal lows right there. And comes for the stop. So there was this second trade here, the 2-minute. That was a break even. So now this trade was, what I would consider this would be, I would consider that a stop hunt because it came down for one more dab into the bottom of that gap before continuing. And while I wouldn't have got 3R, I would have got break even. Remember, I was thinking about re-entering right there again at the same spot after it closed above that IFEG, but I might have taken a partial profit kind of thing. So that was a stop hunt. The cons, okay, listed. So let's go. Let's just keep going forward. So here's pretty much our lunch session accumulation for the lunch session. So we'll wait to see what kind of manipulation we get, and maybe I'll get a better read. Holy moly, look at that. So this trade, look at that. It left those equal lows. Wild. But I would have been on this trade all through a lunch session. I'm not excited about that. So it took these equal highs. Here's a little bit of an inversion forming. I'm not certain I'm bearish, but let's take a look at it. So the 1 hour did form a change in state of delivery. 1 hour is sweeping lows. But in a bullish market, like look at this, we assume that this is bullish. There is a 4-hour change in state of delivery, but like look, here's a 4-hour change in state of delivery and it failed. So I'm going to remain bullish. I don't really want to short, despite there being some nice equal lows. Ultimately, let's see what that would have done. I didn't look for like SMT or anything. So that would have been just a 3R trade. Let's see here. Was there any bearish SMT? So we did have bearish SMT. So that was a valid, I mean, it was a valid trade, 15-minute fair value gap. This was a valid So here was a valid trade that I hesitated on, didn't feel I wanted to take a short and didn't take. So I'm just going to note that. Where would it have been? Yeah, closing in above this right here, maybe. That's far away from this inversion, and that's not quite on this inversion. Um, Maybe I would have done something like this. Let's see if that's not 3R though. That's more likely what I would have done. So, gosh, that's a tough call. And I'm trying to decide if I want to document this as a missed trade or not. I'm going to say no. Looking at this possible long here. Um, I feel like it doesn't really want to move. But on the 2-minute, we have SMT, we have tap into a 15-minute gap, we have local targets. So here we have a 2-minute IFVG, we have a 15-minute fair value gap, we have a 4-hour C2, we have a SMT. So this is a 15-minute trade or 15-minute continuation setup. We have 1-hour liquidity sweep. So we have a 1-hour liquidity sweep. We have equal highs. We're in a macro. I think it's worth a shot. Okay. Go and break even at 1R here. Have some equal lows right there after taking that high. kind of just consolidating. So at this point, I was just trying to see my stop loss. I don't really care like whether I get 10 bucks or 30 bucks, because sometimes it can come down and just tick you out at your entry. And so at this point, if it sweeps that low, or if it sweeps this low, I do want out. It's getting close to the end of the day. There's a pair of equal lows down there. I'll take what I can get out of that trade. Okay. So let's just play forward and see what happens. Ultimately, I kind of thought about taking profits up there, but whatever. So this was a partial win. All right, so I had a, let's review the day here. So minus a half hour on the day. So I had one expense, which was, we'll call it a stop hunt. And I had one partial W, one break even. What would have won? So similar thing happened here. Nothing really. I'm not seeing anything with for my model at least. So what would have won? Nothing would have been the winner. Nothing. Other notes, delivery was kind of bearish and then sideways. I'm gonna give myself, I don't know, maybe an A, because I didn't follow like my rules fully completely. I mean, I did, but I didn't, because I don't really have a rule about these. Where was it? These fair value gaps. Oh, I'm on a 2-minute chart. That first trade where I was saying, most of the time I wait for it to close above all the fair value gaps. I could have been more patient, and had I been more patient today, I actually would have been up an extra $100 on the day, because I would have had 0 trades, or one. I'd been up 200. I'd be up 100, 200 more than I currently am, because I might have taken this trade, and I still would have probably done the same thing and gotten a partial win. So I think that's okay. Not the worst day, not the best day. So let's remove these drawings. We're gonna go to the start of the next session and reset this chart view. And yeah, we'll keep going. Or wait, this is the wrong month. Is this the wrong month? That's the wrong month. No, it's the right month, because here's today. Here's today. Just confused. All right, so you notice that the screen just changed. You're not totally crazy between just a moment ago and now, or this current recording and the previous recording you were just on. I got a new computer, new monitors, and everything else, so it should look different. There's some higher resolution screens and much faster computer. So I'm pretty stoked. I got a new M4 Mac Studio. So let's continue this backtesting session. I just need to refresh myself. We took 3 trades yesterday, 1 loss, 1 partial, and 1 break even. So going into Wednesday, the 23rd. So check the news. So no news. We have unemployment claims on Thursday. All right, so let's zoom out here to the weekly. I need a little bit more of a refresher. It's been a couple days since I was working on this backtesting session. So weekly's taken all previous all-time highs. We have this fair value gap below a key fair value gap. So a key fair value gap right here. So here's your normal fair value gap. Key fair value gap is any fair value gap that appears in a swing point like this. So I would expect this to be strong support if price was to roll over and come back down to it. So this current week is taking the previous week's high. So I'm going to remain bullish until I see some signs like a 4-hour change in state of delivery. I mean, here's a daily change in state, but right there. Tuesday closed below, but it also, so it closed below this, forming an order block, but it also closed inside this candle's wick. So I'm going to assume it to be still a little more bullish, but can definitely allow my bias to go either way. So here we had a 4-hour breaker and an inversion. So there's the bullish breaker being retested, bearish breaker, excuse me. And here's an inversion. So here's my model in reverse. However, I don't really like shorting all-time highs. So let's see what the 2 a.m. candle did. So the 2 a.m. candle kind of stop hunted these candles. There's a little fair value gap here. Closed above that fair value gap. But it left all this trend line liquidity here. So here we have bearish SMT at these highs. We have bearish SMT here. We have bearish SMT forming. ES, YM look a little more bullish than NQ to me. And here on the 1 hour, oh right, I remember this. I remember the 1 hour was just kind of looking ugly. So here's kind of a bit of a no-go zone for the most part, unless it's like stupid obvious or clear. Here's a volume imbalance that's been used a few times. Price is coming up into this fair value gap, rejecting off of this fair value gap. Okay. So no news. I'm into the 15-minute chart. Here's the 12 a.m. open. Price, 9:30 opening time. What else? What else? I need a draw on liquidity. An easy way to do that is just to pick the previous day's high or the previous day's low. I don't actually I'm going to pick the previous day's high. So this draw on liquidity here, I'm going to mark it maybe in like a lighter color. That's my secondary draw on liquidity. All right, so I feel a little reoriented as to what price is doing now. So let's go. All right, so just clicking forward. Looks like price is running pre-930. We have no news today. So 930 is going to be our volatility injection. So it looks like maybe this was the manipulation. Let's see. Any which way, I don't have anything to do, but that's a pretty big open. 200, 160 ticks. Maybe it looks big relative. So if 930 trades down, that makes me feel a little more bullish. All right, so tapped into this volume imbalance, took these lows. Not really convinced. Took Asia's low. We do have SMT. We have SMT on both sides. So here's bearish SMT. Here's bullish SMT. We do have some relative equal highs right here. I'm leaning bullish. 15-minute, got a nice response. 5-minute has a C, doesn't have a C2 candle yet. I'm gonna let this go. Because for one, I should, here's the full inversion, and I can't really long that. So if I was to long it, I got to use this gap, which it meets all criteria, but I don't have enough confidence that it's just gonna run. Coming down pretty low into that mini range. All right, so I probably would be stopped out if I had gotten in. So good call there. I'm feeling like I want to see. That's interesting. It's kind of still the same thing. Took these equal lows. We have another pair of equal lows below. It just isn't textbook to me. I'm not feeling like within this flag pattern here, I'm not fully seeing it. I don't trust it. I see it, I don't trust it. Ideally, I would like price to leave this consolidation, which it kind of is. It's stop hunting sell side here. You can see, price just created this consolidation here until it broke to the downside, wiped out some of the longs, and then probably going to run for buy side up here, which is what flags do. They wreck you unless you know how to play them really well, which my bro Timmy does. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of not convinced on this. 15-minute created, didn't create a C2 candle yet. 5-minute, 9:45. What time is it? 9:48. So it's 2 minutes before the macro. Some nice equal highs, I'm not gonna lie. Probably taking way too long to think about this trade. I don't think I don't think I'm gonna take it. Something like that. So yeah, I would have been stopped out on that one. Guess my gut is telling me I want the 1 hour to leave this consolidation pattern that it's in. So what we can see is just a high resistance liquidity run to sell side. Really moving fast or hard, unlike the first two candles. I guess they looked huge because my monitor is now a lot higher resolution. So when I saw that, I was like, oh dang, and I measured, it was like 160 ticks. Like, oh, that's not too big. I've seen 500, 600 tick 1 minute candles. Coming up on 1050 macro, price is just sideways. You need all three charts, keep it simple. This seems like a little bit of a continuation model, a breaker inversion. Taps into that 15-minute. The YM's looking pretty ugly. Can't really tell any clear SMT, so I'm feeling like this is just let it go. So be consolidating around the entry for a short, and short would have been stopped probably. Coming up on 12 o'clock. Oh wow, interesting. That's actually interesting. I was going to skip the PM, but now let's do this. Now I might actually look at the PM session. $30. Not looking good. So it stop hunted those equal highs, relative equal highs that I was mentioning earlier. You know, it formed all this trend line liquidity right here. And kind of just isn't moving now. So here's our lunch. Or this to this. Kind of lunchtime. All right, I'm not really seeing it. It's just floating upwards. So let's go to the next session. No trades yesterday. Angle, trend line, vertical line. Zoom out. So it looks like my drawn liquidity for the previous day high was met. Oh, right, I'm supposed to be documenting these trade days. There was so it really was long, which would have stopped me out in that long. Like if I would have gotten in on this 10 o'clock long, my stop would have been below here. And so yeah, I would have been on sides but stopped. So drawn liquidity's been met. Guess we need to find a new draw on liquidity. All right, so my recording for Wednesday or Thursday here got screwed up, and I can only show you what happened basically. Here's the 9:30 open, 9:45 news, price trades down, and I saw this inversion. I didn't take it. It was before macro. There were these equal lows, and then here this dotted line is a 4-hour tailless candle. So I wasn't feeling very confident in this. I didn't take it. It was pretty slow to move to the take profit. The draw on liquidity, it would have taken basically all day, depending on where I would have placed my stop loss. So ultimately, it was a winning trade that I didn't take. So let's, what day is this? So it's Thursday. And actually, let's say, I'm just really not liking the price action. So I didn't take that. That would have been a -1. That would have been 3R. What would have won? So the 1020 long only, all-time high zone. One hour's ugly. Delivery. So similar, this is a bullish high resistance liquidity run. I'm going to give myself an A+ for self-control, I guess. Like I just really wasn't feeling it, so that's fine. Let's remove these drawings. Let's zoom out a little bit. Well, we need to go to the start of the New York session. This is turning out to be a pretty slow week. One trade. So Friday at 9 a.m. all-time highs have been taken. Draw on liquidity has been met. Hello, internet. Can't be my new computer. It's either the internet or TradeZella. TradeZella must be having a little bit of a hiccup. There we go. Doesn't normally do that. All right, so previous week's high has been taken, all-time high has been taken. The daily has this volume imbalance right here. Previous day high is taken, all-time high is taken. 4 hours kind of consolidating. We can see that there's just a consolidation and then it took off a consolidation. This is not ideal price action. So 12 a.m. No news this Friday. One hour's kind of just sideways. We got this consolidation. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like something pre 9:30. We'll drop stop hunt. Ugly. And ugly. Breaker failing. Stop hunt. All right, so here's some distribution. There's nothing here. Just consolidation. So here's a used 15-minute for value gap, but the 1 hour still just in consolidation. So I don't even like this. I don't think it's worth me clicking forward. I don't see any bullish gap to retrace into. And I don't like this price action. So I think I'm just going to write off this day, and I want to keep going forward. So we're going to say no model. No model. Same thing. Really just same thing. So ultimately, I missed out on 2R. In really crappy price action, I missed out on 2R. So the themes for this week is really just poor price action, few models, high resistance liquidity run, but could have been up 2R had I taken more trades. Okay. And then the mistakes, I think the one loss, I knew the 1 hour was not clean. That's probably the one mistake I made. So my performance summary for me overall, relatively solid. Stayed conservative in poor PA, reserved capital. I can give myself an 8. The only thing I'm doubting that I didn't do is could have been more aggressive. Maybe. And I'm not certain on that either, because it wasn't great PA price action. We'll leave it at that. And let's just go to the next week. We'll keep going. Because I took a couple trades on this day. Other than that, no trades, like not clean. All right, so let's zoom out. Let's get reset. All right, so we're diving into the 28th, I guess, last week of July. What are we up? 1.5K on the month. Oops, right click. July 2025. 1.7K on the month. So we'll see. Going into the calendar. All right, looks like we got more going on. July 27th, we have Tuesday, FOMC, Wednesday, non-farm. Oh, it's a non-farm week. Interesting. So wasn't expecting that because it's not the first, but the first falls in on the Friday of this month. So I guess we'll take it. So Monday and Tuesday are going to be our higher probability days. Wednesday, possibly too. Thursday is going to be a dicey day, possibly. And then we'll wait till after non-farm. Well, I don't trade pre 8:30 anyways, but that's what we'll do. So let's dive in. Let's 8:45. So we are Tuesday the 9th. How 29th? How did it skip? Oh, Monday. That's what it should have been. So Monday is no news. All right, let's go another candle forward. Whoa, didn't make much of a difference now, did that? So here on the weekly, zoom back out, looking at NQ, still bullish. We gapped up when it opened in the Sunday overnight, hasn't moved much. So this week closed above the previous week's high, indicating potentially bullish continuation. Looking at ES, same thing. And then YM is just took previous all-time equal highs. Okay. So, and look at this daily. This daily is just kind of getting ugly. You know what we want to see. This is what we want to see on the daily. We want to see this kind of movement. We don't want to see basically just forming an ascending wedge. That's not cool. But it's what we got to work with. Which makes sense that last week wasn't great to trade. Price wasn't really moving. So going into the 4-hour, we gapped up, and this is important. This is a new week opening gap right there. 2 a.m. candle did stop hunt this candle right there. Previous candle came back down, retesting the new week opening gap. Similar thing on the 1 hour. So London took Asia's high and Asia's low, and then we distributed. Possible that could indicate a seek and destroy kind of day. Here's the 12 a.m. open. London, you know, if we follow the London trend, which is another indicator, so London took Asia's liquidity, reversed, and then formed a 15-minute breaker. So that's, you know, bearish. We do have a 1-hour change in state of delivery, and we don't have a 4-hour change in state of delivery. But we came back down to this new week opening gap. 9:30. Where are you, 9:30? There you are. No news Monday, so that indicates a little more continuation likely. Just thinking real quick, this pre-9:30, I've seen this a few times this lately. I wonder, pre-9:30 distribution, UTC -5. New York. My time zone's right. Okay, just want to make sure like it wasn't, I had my time zones off by an hour, because that's pretty volatile for pre-9:30. Zooming in. Oh, bam. All right, so looking at the 1-hour chart, the assets are relatively in sync. I'm looking at this candle pre new week opening gap, or post new week opening gap. And then we go to this pre candle, and it does look like we are starting to form an SMT between this hour low and this hour low on YM. YM is close through that gap. Now if we go to the 15-minute chart, so no bullish SMT. I'm feeling bearish, which is really like not like me. To want to be bearish on all-time highs. We have all this juicy trend line liquidity. We have 12 a.m. You know, there was a nice distribution phase down into discount. There's a lot of reason down into 50% of the range. We do have some relative equal lows below. If it's going to be long, it's going to be long from here. What I don't like is this I really don't like entering on the 931 or 932 candle. We don't have any local SMT. And it's Monday. Mondays tend to be continuation, but this looks almost too juicy not to try. Maybe what I'll do, I'll set a limit order. And see what we got. So we have an IFVG at 1 4-hour gap, new week opening gap. We have an SMT. We have trend line and equal targets, equal in session target. We have we're in the macro. So that's the idea of the trade setup. What I don't like about this trade setup is gut says short all-time highs, really strange. And then I don't like it's 931. But hey, let's be a little more aggressive. It's tends to play out better for me, it appears, if I'm a little bit more aggressive. So we'll take it. Limit order for and it just wiped me out. So cool. Look at that, target acquired. So I just got stop hunted basically. Well, how to say, sort of stop hunted, sort of stop too close. This is where I put my stop. So I put it below the fair value, the IFVG, and below the candle that closed outside of opened outside of the IFVG. And that's part of the reason why I don't like 930. Like 930 to 933. 931 to 933. All right, so this was really kind of like stop hunted. This was an expense, stop hunted, and or stop loss too close. Nothing I can do about that. That is just part of the game. Not all that's part. A little bit seek and destroy. Okay, this is seek and destroy, which we got that clue with London taking Asia's high and low. Really, the first reason is we got stop hunted. Stop loss was too close. The second reason is it turned into seek and destroy. Ugly morning. There's nothing in here for me, so we'll just keep going. ES and YM came back down to that gap. We have a 2-minute, 3-minute inversion. It's just too big. 15-minute made a C, didn't make a C2 candle on NQ. YM did. So we are getting some more bullish SMT down in here. Those lows have been swept. On ES and YM. There's a 2-minute inversion. So this candle closed back in the range, but then this one swept its low again. It did come into the new week opening gap, so it might be worth another shot on the 2-minute chart. It's inside a macro. So here, I don't know, I usually wouldn't go that big. Maybe I would just do this kind of thing. Here we are. So here we have a 2-minute IFEG. We have the new week opening gap rebalance. We have SMT. We have high probability equal highs. And cons, really, cons are maybe the higher time frame isn't expanding. Probably the biggest con on this setup, which is true for the previous one. Daily is what I mean. Well, the daily is actually is expanding. My correction, it wasn't in here. Sure, we'll give it a shot. I'm going to close that. I wanted a market order. Target and stop loss 23,459. Okay. I'm going to tuck up my stop. I don't like the time, so it's lunchtime. It's either going to go or not. Is that 3R? That's 3R, so where's 1R? So technically that high is 1R. Okay, it's just not wanting to move. Look at this kind of consolidation. So here was just a break-even trade. So just poor price action. All right, so what is this? Monday, July 28th. Oh, right, this is non-farm week. '28th. All right, so I took an expense, which was, we'll call it stop hunted. But it was a winner. So what would have won? Nothing, right? Any other notes on the price action? Price action was seek and destroy. And so my performance summary, A, I'll give it an A. Missed opportunities, just a -1. -1R. All right, so here's this trade. I'm just going to download that. Guy right there. Cool. Alrighty then. So let's go the next day or the next session. We have 10 a.m. jolts. So zooming out on NQ to the daily. So the previous day closed a compression candle above the new week opening gap. Overnight, looks like NQ reached up, took that high. Doesn't have a tail. Looks like YM is kind of consolidating a little bit more. There is bearish SMT currently forming at these highs. Not confirmed. So the 4-hour 2 a.m. candle took this high. So here's midnight open right below. We can see the continuation. London continued. However, it looks like New York pre-open maybe swept the all-time, well, did sweep the all-time highs. So maybe price wants to come down, retest the midnight open, and then continue kind of thing. What else do we got going on? We have the 9:30. 10. So internal to external, right? It took external range liquidity. So I would like to see some kind of internal range retracement before longing. All right, let's just click forward. Let's see the open. Forming some trendline liquidity down in here. And just blasts off to all-time highs at the open. Dump. All right, so here's the 10 a.m. red folder. We swept some buy side. It's kind of given just a bit of a consolidation there. Nothing's clear. This is just ugly. $10.30. So here we closed above this, forming a breaker, a little inversion, a volume imbalance. Taking this low here, sweeping 1 hour lows, sweeping through that gap. Tapping into this 4 hour gap. So we taken the London session low, 15-minute closed in there, forming a C2. Timing wise, I think if there's, it works because it could be the low of the 4 hour candle wanting to expand up. So there's an external to internal retracement did happen. So I think it's worth a shot. I'm not like saying this is, I think the price action itself is kind of what has me feeling like this isn't very great. Just do something like this. I usually would do that, but it might come back and want to tap this gap. And there's plenty of room to go 3R. So we have a 4 hour fair value gap. We have an IFVG breaker. We have a 4 hour fair value gap. We have SMT. The liquidity was London low, 4 hour candle. This is with my bias of bullish. and with order flow. The cons here are not deep into 50% and 12 a.m. right below. We do have trend line and relative equal highs. We do have trend line and equal highs. And another con is just the all-time high pre-market sweep. I'm not stoked about that. There is technically a 1 hour change in state of delivery, but I'm assuming bearish PD arrays are going to fail. So really, I think I can even, we'll just give it a try. That's not right. I'll cancel that. Reprice 4. I want to target 23,598. Price 23,555. So really, I'm just feeling like this is, my gut feels like this is low probability. Gut feels low probability PA lately. There's my limit order. We are in the macro. So it all makes sense, like from a sweep out some of these lows for continuation. There's just more liquidity below, so we shall see. And I'm probably offsides. Offsides. Brutal. Brutal. Okay. So here I was just offsides. And this is NFP week. So I'm going to limit it to probably 1 trade a day. So there's some trend line liquidity. There's a bunch of gaps here. So it did close over the first gap, but there's one more right there. This is 11 o'clock. I'm not bullish now. I think it would come down lower before possibly going higher. So cool. This is that's the trade. So let's see here. What was today? Let's look at this Tuesday. So here was another red day. I'm not doing that great last 2 weeks of this month. Need to really look at that. So expense offsides. Delivery was all-time highs. What would have won? shorting all-time highs. Like, I don't. There is this. Ooh, that's just ugly. So what would have won? Nothing. Delivery was bearish. High resistance liquidity run. Performance. I don't know. Like my gut was telling me not to take it, but I took it. So yeah. All right, let's go to the next session. Ooh. So we're on Wednesday. We have FOMC at 2 p.m. So the way we play this is FOMC and non-farm on 1 week. All right. Interesting. Typically, we would wait until after the FOMC release. So let's just see. So the 4 hours kind of getting compressed. We do have a 4-hour change in state of delivery, and we do have a bearish 4-hour gap. So we can just kind of go forward a little bit. Let's see what the morning looks like. So Asia took London's, or London took Asia's high and low. Here's 12 a.m. Two. So here is FOMC folder. And then the 2:30 right back. So let's just look. I don't think there's going to be anything here. I say that, and I see this nice looking conversion breaker right there. But the 1 hour, after tapping into that 1 hour gap, the 1 hour is compressed. Swept these lows, swept this low. Here we do have bullish. No. Well, equal. Yeah, they're equal. So there's bullish SMT. And it's in the macro. I'm not going to trust it just because price action lately has been pretty untrustable, which means, what do you think? Probably going to run, right? So here I'd probably do like this kind of thing. Break even. So it is a seek and destroy. Still would have hit it, so 3R. So that would have been one, a break even. All right. Look at that, inverting right there. After tapping into that 1 hour. Nope, didn't tap into that, tapped into this. Nope, didn't even tap into that volume imbalance. Just sideways. Let's zoom out. Look at that, 15 minutes ugly, so there's no trade to be had there for me. All right, so 115, 145. And we'll go back down to the 1 minute now. Here's FOMC. So we expect with FOMC releasing traders to be wiped out one side or both, but then the subsequent move from 2 to 2:30ish, maybe even a little later, that we kind of can expect to be the Judas moves, the fake moves, similar to like the 9:30 open. But I'm also not interested in shorting. Oh, came into this 1 hour gap. Look at that tail on that candle. Okay, here we go. Getting some distribution, tapped into the 12 a.m. open. And look at this, see, it did what I said, which was 2 to 2:30 is the fake move. It was bullish, tricking the bulls to go long, and then it's wiping them out. For me, there was no entry into this. So this is interesting. I don't, outside of macro, and I don't trust it. Yeah, so no trades. So basically, this was FOMC. We had no take model, break even. Delivery was S&D FOMC at all-time highs. So really nothing. Would have won. Myself an A+ for some reason. So what a boring trading period. Holy moly. Go to the next session. And what are we at? We're on Thursday. So this is a day before non-farm. There is 8:30 unemployment claims. And so it looks like the 1 hour, the 8 o'clock did form a reversal in here. Where was that 1 hour gap I saw? I don't know. So the 4 hour tapped into that gap, pretty bullish response. Just want to see all three real quick. Ugly, they're all ugly. ES looks a little bit nicer compared to the others. So here, I don't have a very clean read, other than just bullish. Okay. Whoa, look at that 930. Sinking. So here's a 950 breaker and an inversion. Small little inversion. Feel like longs have just been offside. So this is the day before NFP. I'm not going to take it. And then if it's a winner, I'm going to go back and reevaluate if it would have been a valid trade. I'm assuming that to be a breakaway gap. Break even trade. So not really much of a short all. So no. All right, that's just is. This is no model. So Thursday was no model. Just ugly. I give an A+ because stayed out. And finally, the grand finale, non-farm. So I said earlier in this that I was feeling a little bit like this thing wanted to roll over, and I was having my gut was wanting me to short all-time highs. But what we can see here is that there was, gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 compression days. This was this Thursday, swept the high and the low of Wednesday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of just nah. And now price is actually starting to distribute to the downside. We do have a close below and lots of liquidity. So, there's a daily change in state of delivery. That's pretty significant. We have a 4-hour change in state of delivery. And then of course a 1-hour change in state of delivery. So I could get in line with more bearish price delivery on the week here. The week took this previous week's high and this previous week's low. And so going below that volume imbalance, like this gap I pointed out, I think earlier, I did point out that gap earlier because it was a key fair value gap in this swing point. This is where I'd like to see it tap into this and long out of here. So not in this Friday, obviously, but just in the near future. So let's zoom out. Looks like London distributed. It did leave some nice targets up there, but I'm not certain I'm bullish. Let's see here. Midnight candle is this one. So 12 a.m. is down there. 30's right here. I don't think we had any other. We did have 10 a.m. ISM. Yeah. All righty. So let's look at 8:30. This candle here wasn't too ridiculous. 300 ticks. Kind of just swept by sell side, buy side, and now it's going back for sell side. Okay, 9:30. Oof, ugly. All right, so just a low resistance distribution towards sell side. Red folder incoming. And what the red folders do is if the red folders don't reverse price, they send it further in the direction they already had been going. Shoot, that's technically, I was looking at this volume imbalance. That's technically a close above that inversion. I know I said I wasn't bullish, but if we get down deep enough into discount, well, maybe I would be. We swept this 4-hour low, these lows, this low, but this kind of dumpage is just hard to go against. I'd almost prefer a consolidation and then a reversal. And then here's just all this. If it would come down into this zone, I think I would be up for a long. I wish it would save my default knot as purple, because it didn't sweep this low here. Well, I am. Look at that compared to NQ. So kind of don't have any bullish SMT anyway here. Let's see. Maybe there is, but this candle's not confirmed. So this did have a bit of a consolidation. It had this consolidation right here, manipulation of that little consolidation. There was no short opportunity other than here. It was outside of a macro. It just bugs me being that it didn't take this low here. Can't really see on the 15 minutes. And locally, I don't. You have these relative equal highs right there. These relative equal highs. This feels a little risky. I guess obviously the amount of time I'm taking into deciding on it after minus 2R this week. And then these equal lows right there. I think that's the nail in the coffin for me, those equal lows. I'm not going to lie, that kind of disappointed me. Oh, that would have sucked. Let's see here. What 10:09. So I would have marketed it on the close of that candle. Technically my stop should be below that. So, whew, it would have been a break even. Okay, now I don't feel so bad. I don't know. Is it going to go? Look at these. All right, so I'd be at break even on this trade had I gotten into it. And right there, it would have. Holy moly. So I didn't take that trade. So NFP. I didn't take, no take, no trust. No take 10.50. Other notes, delivery was heavy bearish. So here I missed out on 3R. So I could have been up 1R this week. I'm not going to look at the rest of this PM session. This whole week has just kind of been ugly. So and Friday PM after a week like this, I'm just not interested in the price action. So what do I think about that? I think it was a lower probability setup. So there's that side of it. It just didn't take these lows here. It didn't tap into this gap. It didn't take these lows. And the other assets didn't take significant liquidity. Well, they all took significant liquidity, but none of them took out these extra lows down in here, I don't think. So here, this low, these lows, and this low on ES. And on YM, I guess it did take all those lows, but with ES and NQ, I put more trust into ES than YM. And so that's where I was kind of judging it off those two. That would have been a brutal hold though, all through lunch session. So what do I think? Let's think about this week. Let's take a look and see what's going on. Let's look at the dashboard. So Thursday, Friday the 1st. So down half R, down 2R. So meh, like let's look at I guess because this is the end of this month. Oh, this month, August, July 25. July 1st through the 31st. So 54% win rate, 1.6. So I had a break. Well, it's 3R, 3R, 2R. I had a 1R or something, 2R on this day versus full loss, full loss, full loss, partial loss. So it's okay. It's not bad. Obviously, this copy traded across a pile of accounts would be totally great. I think I need to times it by 8.8. So I'd be up like, let's just even do the math real quick. Where's my new Mac. I don't have a calculator down there in the icons yet. So we got 1.2, 1200, call it 1200 times 8.8, up 10,000 across my accounts. So that's helpful to put that into perspective, I guess. Now, so themes, really, the theme was, all-time highs and poor price action, few setups. At best, up 1R. My mistakes was really trading in poor PA. Now the question is, did I take these trades when they were in poor PA? I'm not sure. I guess I could go back and look at the screenshots real quick. So this one was, the first trade was not poor PA until after the trade was, I entered the trade. And then this one where I was off sides, PA was okay-ish, but I just don't know. I just am not looking at the higher time frame. So my performance summary was it's funny, I don't want to give myself an A. So I'm just gonna say goodish, pretty good. Probably not A. I was conservative and ID'd for PA and preserved capital while still attempting to be engaged with the market. And in part because look at this last 2 weeks, like how few trades I've taken. So yeah, so I guess to sum up this month, what do we got? That's my calculator is missing. Calculator. We got 1177 divided by 250. I'm up 4.7R on the month. Like that's pretty reasonable, I do feel just a little disappointed in myself. I've been back testing January, the crap out of January, and it just ate me alive, which I expected. I don't typically trade. I don't trade January, and I wanted to find out if January should be something I should trade. So I've taken like 6 weeks of, because I'm doing many years of January, 6 weeks of trades as losses, or red weeks, and to add two more red weeks on top of it. But just a little bit of salt in the wound. Nonetheless, I'll still take this end result for this month. That's pretty all right. 4.7R for me. I'll take it. Not as good as some of my other months. When I clear this out, we can see, up 2K, 2K, 1K, 1K. And then earlier, this was, the inauguration year, and so price was just garbage for me for these 2 months. But I'm super curious to see how this all plays out, seeing how, I obviously know what I'm doing because, even though that's a red month and that's a red month, I lost a lot less than I earned on my green months. And even though this was a tougher month for me, July, I obviously earned, what was it, 4.7R we decided? So that's still pretty all right. So I'm gonna be really curious to see when this year ends out, how many red months I have, how many green months I have, and my total R for the year. And this will be my first solid year back tested from front to back, and I think that's gonna be super interesting to see. So I'm gonna shut it down here and catch you in the next session.